Hello everyone, welcome to EduTap. Welcome to another interesting session with a topper who has been selected in RBI as Grade B officer. So I welcome Mr. Kunal. Thank you so much, Kunal, for coming in, and many congratulations to you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
So, guys, for the introduction of Kunal, I'll say I have a very interesting personality with me. Why? That you'll get to know through our interview. Okay. Briefly, I'll just tell you that Kunal has been selected in RBI this year, 2021, in his fourth attempt. He has appeared thrice in the examination, and he told me that with every attempt he was learning. Right, he did not say that I could not clear, rather he was learning in every attempt. Right. Apart from that, I'll tell you one more thing. Kunal, while he appeared for RBI, he is currently employed. He is working in income tax department from
Yes,
past
ma'am.
3 years. He got selected there through SSC CGL. Prior to that, he was also working in State Bank of India as PO. So, like after completing his graduation, he has been working and simultaneously preparing. Finally, after the experience of bank, income tax department, he is now RBI Grade B officer, and he's also waiting for his final results for UPSC examination. He has appeared in interview this time. So many things to tell, Kunal. Please
Yes, ma'am.
add a few things you'd like to tell about your journey.
Right after my graduation, ma'am, like I told you, and I wanted to prepare for civil services somewhere, but I wanted to secure my career first because career security was important. So I prepared for SSC CGL and gave other banking and insurance examinations along the way. And like you mentioned, I secured SBI PO job, and that was the first joining I got, and it was good and enriching experience that I thought I'll have, and I had as well. So I joined it, and then I joined income tax department. So during the way, I realized that about the RBI recruitment, and I felt that it suited me, and I should go for it. So there were some attempts that I did not prepare for, precisely the first one, and eventually I learned how to prepare better for phase two, then interview, and eventually in my fourth attempt I am here in front of you. That's all.
So rest is history, I would say. Finally, when you were having a job, a good, decent job, right? Government sector, you are still preparing for RBI. This is what we call as consistency. See, there are many students whom I talk to, they are preparing for RBI, but they're not consistent enough. How did you maintain this consistency or motivation that no, I'll prepare again? I have done better than previous attempt, although I could not make it, but still I'll give a next attempt also. तो वो motivation कहाँ से आया?
Ma'am, I'll be honest with you. I think motivation as a term is often misinterpreted, or I would even go to the extent saying it's overrated among aspirants. Motivation is important to an extent. I'm not denying it outrightly, but it is transitory in my opinion. And I think discipline counts more than the motivation. So, though I failed thrice before succeeding this time, I I felt dejected obviously after results not making after interview for two times, and it was difficult for a few days. But at the end of the day, I always used to think that I have to give next attempt. Basically, I was not struggling per se. Fourth attempt might look like a struggle, but to me, it was not a struggle. I am much better placed than other candidates who actually struggle. So I am at a much better position than others. I can work hard, basically. It should not be an excuse that I feel that I cannot give another attempt or something like that. So I used to read again after a few days, and when notification came, and precisely also while I was working, ma'am, I think the my job took my mind off other things, and so I only had specific amount of time left. So instead of thinking, I got to doing. I think in the hindsight, I can say this. So this was it. Basically, it was not motivation. It was just discipline that I have to clear this.
Basically, see, discipline, you are very humble to say this, but the difficult thing is to maintain that discipline. But as you said, you were ready to work hard, right? You had this clarity कि नहीं, if I am doing better from my previous attempt, I can do it, I can make it. So discipline was anyhow there, hard work, and I would say your optimistic attitude also have helped you here, right? So these are the things that candidates should learn who are preparing right now, because see, when they fail once or twice or thrice is such a big deal that now they'll be in self doubt, can I even make it? But see, Mr. Kunal is here, he had a job, still he made it. So like, you'll be inspiration to many on this, Kunal. Acha, Kunal, one more thing. See, RBI examination is not a very popular exam, right? Popular as in many of the students are not even aware about such a post in RBI. While we see SSC CGL is a common exam, many aspirants take this exam. UPSC is again common. So, how did you come across RBI?
Ma'am, even I came across it after I joined State Bank job, and one of my colleagues was filling up the form in 2017, and I was living with him. So that's when I got to know about it, and I asked him. So he told that RBI also recruits directly. I do not know how, but I had some preconceived notion that they used to recruit through institutions and campus placements and all those things. So he told me about it, and that's when I filled my first form along with him.
Okay, right. This is the question I asked because people, even from let's say commerce background or people engineers, you have this notion that probably this exam is for commerce background aspirants. Engineers do not take this exam, but it is not so. So, chalo, it's good that now people are getting to know this. So, coming
Yes,
to your preparation strategy, Kunal. Please tell us about the preparation of quant, reasoning, and English.
phase one, ma'am,
Right.
quant reasoning English definitely hold the key, because if we deduce from this year's pattern, general awareness took a serious turn in the nature of questions asked. So QRE became important, and the level of exam was also on the higher side, and hence the cutoff also. So for QRE, if I talk about myself, my SSC preparation has helped me in quant as well as English, because they play a major chunk there. And so as to say, ma'am, I always liked quant right from my school days. So quant was never a problem. It was more of a challenge. So right from school days, I was okay with it, fairly good at it, if I could say. So and English, I had exposure from college. I was not into reading books, but I used to read something or the other, like newspaper. Not very regular. I was not a regular student at newspapers, but I knew what to read, how to read, and I was okay at English. And with SSC preparation, both of these got refined. Regarding reasoning part, ma'am, I would like to emphasize that I never solved puzzles in any exams that I ever gave, except for 2, 3 questions wala puzzle, which is very simple. So I always used to rely on low hanging fruits, because I knew that I did not have time, firstly, to ace puzzles, and secondly, I was getting results without solving puzzles. So I was complacent as well. So I never took to puzzles. In quant, I would say, ma'am, that we talk about practice and accuracy, but I think speed matters. And I think for me, speed played a very important role, because I had someone give me a guidance once that we should first try to solve a question in our own mind without touching pen and paper. And I think that has played a major role in hindsight, because the speed that comes with it when you solve mentally will help a lot in examinations such as these, where time is a crucial component after sectional timing. So these were my basic strategies. I did not prepare specifically. I relied on past practice, and with the paucity of time, I could only take few mock tests and went for it.
Kunal, like I want to understand here one thing. See, you said that preparation of SSC examination helped you, obviously, because maths and English are two major components there. But let's say a student is a fresher, as in not has not given multiple examinations, rather focusing now on QRE. QRE, GA are common for like all exams. So how should they begin with? Like we hear that they can start with any basic book and then they can refer to YouTube videos. Would you also suggest the same for the beginners?
Ma'am, in the beginning, I can only talk from my own experience. And personally, I have never been fond of YouTube videos per se. They are helpful because they make you learn things in a video interactive manner, which can be helpful for memorizing concepts per se and better retention of it. But I think practice needs to be done on pen and paper, because there also you will solve on rough sheets. So for a beginner, let's say if we are talking about quant, they can take off any coaching course if they can, or there are many freely available videos nowadays online. So they can refer to it. And after understanding the concept, their approach should be to practice as much as they can and divide the time equally between all components, because focusing solely on quant won't help, on English won't help. So dividing time equally, practicing more and more. And English, I would say, reading diversified content. It's not just textbooks or something like that. Anything you want, article on sports, online you can browse anything or read. So I think reading habit, and if you can have a peer group where you can converse in English, I think it plays a major role, because with grammar you would realize where you are speaking wrong and you would stop there, and then you would know that you were speaking wrong. So these I can tell from my personal experience. Obviously for a beginner, the some kind of mentored coaching would help, so that they can take if they can afford. Otherwise there are freely available content, but the key is to practice in all of these sections.
So even if you are like going yourself for the preparation or you are taking the guidance, practice you only have to do, right? Which
Yes,
is very important if you want to up your score of you, if you want to raise your level of quant and reasoning. As you said, accuracy is there, but speed is also required. You have to solve quickly. You need to know the tricks, the tips. Everything should be on your tips. That, as you said, mentally solve the question, so that you will be able to do only with ample of practice. And for English, you said that rather than going for the book, you get used to the language. Like try to
yes,
speak it, read the newspapers. All these things will help in getting a better like hands-on for the English language. Okay. And anyhow, English language is not that typical in this exam, right? So
yes,
with a fair idea, you can still cross this English section. Okay. So I think that is about your quant, reasoning, English, and GA. As you mentioned, this year especially, you have yourself given like 3 earlier attempts also. So this year GA was different, right? So
yes, ma'am.
what was your reaction when you saw the paper? कि GA में क्या क्या पूछ लिया है?
Ma'am, actually, like I told you, I have given fair amount of exams, and I was constantly giving, and I cannot remember any exams where I haven't attempted all questions of general awareness, because I think 1/4 negative marking always leads to positive marks. It will not lead to deduction of marks in the overall score. This I found out while practicing. So I always used to attempt all questions, but I did not this year, because I realized that the paper is such that if I go for it, then I can definitely lose marks, because it was very typical in nature. And I attempted, I think, around 55, 56 questions and left 24 of them. So I was able to adapt, because I thought that it would be fairly difficult for all. And I think in this, my previous experiences also helped, because I knew that paper was different and it demanded certain different level of preparation, which normally we don't do. Like I remember a question that, for example, sale steel production estimate was asked. So it was such a question that we do not remember that. It's not that important. So I left it. I did not guess it, because it was totally out of the blue, and it would have led to reduction of marks. So I think changing strategy midway of the exam is also important. And this exam required accurate attempt rather than voluminous attempts.
Hmm.
And regarding the preparation, ma'am, uh, I refer to one magazine of Affairs Cloud, and that to the pocket PDF which comes out, because I had paucity of time and I used to remember facts and I used to read magazines. I never made notes out of them. Uh, so that was my only source, and the freely available MCQ videos which your channel also conducted, and there were many documents lying around which I could get my hold of and practice accordingly. That's what I did for journal awareness.
Okay. And one more question, like pertaining to the same, because the question example you gave for GA, we also saw many questions which were which are usually expected in phase two, like schemes. The statement based schemes were there, or the options contained a lot of like statements that you had to read it in that span. Sectional timing is there. So the what we felt is that if a student is going for an integrated preparation of phase two and phase one, rather than thinking that I'll just prepare 3 months ka GA and I'll go, rather than that, if you prepare for phase two, phase one simultaneously, current affairs I'm talking about, then you'll be on a better footing for phase one. Did you also feel this?
Yes, ma'am, I did that as well. Because after phase one, you get around 20-25 days, varying on the year. So it's not possible to cover phase two current affairs after phase one results, or let's say the examination is out.
Hmm.
So you have to prepare beforehand, obviously. And what we can do is, since I did not make notes, what I used to do is I used to star the news which I thought
Hmm.
was important for phase two, and I read that accordingly. So while revising also, I used to revise the whole document, like I said. So those stars I revised during phase two. And so this was one thing I did during the preparation of phase one, that I start the phase two current affairs as well, and I read them.
Hmm.
So I had revised them for phase one. So I missed out on a few questions, but there were few questions that I had read and I could attempt because I had done that. So
Hmm.
integrated approach is definitely advisable if ample amount of time can be given. I could not do it, but ideal approach would be that we should have in our mind that what kind of questions are asked in phase one and what are there in phase two, and we read accordingly. It's better.
Hmm. So, to the viewers of this video, I would suggest that see, Kunal had the experience beforehand of the exam itself. In the paper, he knew because he had appeared in the exam. He knew that this time paper is different. Okay, not for me, for everyone. So, if you are going to appear in the exam for first time, go through the previous year papers. You should have that knack. Acha, this is what exam requires you to know. This will be helpful to see the previous year papers, be it phase one, be it phase two, as per your preparation. Okay. So other important tips already Kunal has given the sources. So many materials are available like free of cost. YouTube videos are also there for revision. So all those can be referred for GA like phase one specifically. Okay. So Kunal, phase two this time was descriptive. Earlier it not used to be.
Yes, ma'am.
So how did you re-strategize again your preparation? Case by descriptive hai, so these all things I'll do.
Ma'am, to be honest, like you mentioned, I was preparing for UPSC,
Hmm.
and it helped me. Uh, I would say the UPSC, the effort that I put for UPSC means paid me off here,
Hmm.
and I did not prepare anything differently, so as to say. I just referred to your platforms. Ready-made questions were there,
Hmm.
like 2-3 questions for each of management topic, each of finance topic. So FM, I prepared from there. I just used to read the model questions and answers, again due to paucity of time, and the structure I already knew from my UPSC preparation. So I knew that the questions will most likely to be basic in nature. So in basic questions, introduction, body part, and conclusion, everybody knows this. So I was focusing more on gathering the content, because
Hmm.
I thought I was lacking in there, and not specifically the practice part of writing, because I had done that already. So I was in the flow of writing, so I did not practice specifically for it. I was focusing more on content part. But if someone is preparing for the first time, or let's say they are preparing afresh for the descriptive part, then I feel the practice is the most important part, because I had done fair amount of practice for my UPSC, and with practice score definitely goes up, and that is the only key for descriptive, because we can think that we will write answer there, but it does not come out if we haven't written it before. That I can say with surety.
As you mentioned that you were looking for content, right? You were acquainted with the answer writing. In the paper, you do not have time that you'll think of the content. Acha, ye cheezein I'll write. Rather, you should have things ready in your mind. These I'll
Yes,
use. So, as you said, you were going through content. So, for that question and answer, the model question answer helped you, or anything else also you relied on?
ma'am, I had prepared for phase two, like we used to do for earlier attempts. So we were reading things. We had read, like I had read management for three of my previous attempts, and management was very familiar. But to read it for MCQ and to read it for descriptive is different. So I was specifically focusing on lesser content. I was reading the same PDF, same summary sheet, but I was focusing more on that if question comes on a transactional leadership. So what 5 points I'll write. So these things I was trying to get hold of. And like I said, I mentioned that I found myself lacking at the content part. So I was making sure that I do not lack content there. I could write something, because obviously there was going to be a time shortage. And on top of that, typing was there. So typing, for that I practiced a bit, because typing on a keyboard and writing on pen and paper are different. So keyboard practice I did a bit, so that I was fairly confident of reaching a certain word limit. And after that, I thought that if basic questions come, I'll do good. And if difficult questions will come, it will be difficult for everyone.
So I'll just summarize 3-4 points that I could understand from what you have told for phase 2 paper. One is you should have hold of your syllabus, cover your syllabus. Like you should not be that syllabus hi nahi padha hai. Get hold of it, be it FM or ESI. We'll ask the sources also to you. One is get hold of your syllabus. Second is have the practice of answer writing, like how to frame answer. What will you write if descriptive question comes? Third is you said that then content, filtered content should be there, kind of fodder for answer writing, as you said. Then fourth is the practice of keyboard typing. Pen and paper you can use for making the kind of intro body aisa karke, but typing is ultimately required. So these 4 things are important for descriptive answer writing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And one thing, please tell me, out of 3 papers of your descriptive, ESI, finance or English mein, which paper did you found very easy? Comparatively easy, not very. 3 mein se.
Ma'am, I would say the FM part was easier because of the MCQ part, because MCQ were easier in FM and they were pretty basic, and the descriptive questions were also straightforward, not the case with ESI. And in English, there is always an element of, let's say, uncertainty. So I was always scoring 65 to 70 range English in my previous attempts. So I attempted just like I used to do in earlier attempts, with as much focus as I can do on not making grammatical errors and all those stuff taking care about. So FM was pretty straightforward in my opinion.
Okay, right. So let's know your sources for the ESI and FM.
Ma'am, firstly, I'll start with FM. I only read EduTap summary sheets and their model question and answers for descriptive part. This was my only strategy for FM. I did not refer to online sources or any other PDFs, because I thought that those would suffice. And in descriptive, ma'am, in management part specifically, I was looking for content to enrich as much as I could, but I also knew that in leadership, without knowing anything, we can write something. We might not be able to write good answers, but we will be able to write something because they are very relatable topics: management, HRM, leadership, and all that. So FM, I could solely focus on these sources. ESI, ma'am, was very scattered, and I did not read any specific source. I read government schemes. EduTap magazine is there, and then for the economy and static part, I think my previous attempts preparation have helped me, and they were not from a specific source. They were they were always like reading from here and there. Like if I have a doubt in inflation, I'll read few pages on inflation. If I have to read about finance commission, then I would read about finance commission. It was never a structured preparation for ESI. So I also referred to Vision IS magazine, which they make out for means 365. It comes out just before means. So I had read it for my UPSC as well, and I revised it for RBI as well. So this was all I did. And regarding the English paper, like I told you that I was scoring consistently in the 65 to 70 marks range. So I did not change anything because essay, again, my UPSC preparation have helped me. And Pressy, we all know that we have to write in our own words and sticking to the word limit is the key. And same with the comprehension. So I just went just like that. It is not advisable, I would say. If someone is preparing, they should give ample amount to English. I did those because I was short on time. So whatever I could manage, I could do with these things.
Okay, so the takeaways are that if students have the UPSC background, try to utilize that. Whatever you have read there, how can you use your knowledge of economy, current affairs, schemes, answer writing? These you can utilize really well in RBI exam. Okay. Secondly,
Yes.
if you are not having the background of UPSC, then what is the option? Then preparation and then practice. Because see, UPSC is giving them a practice. They are writing so many answers. They are going and giving the paper. They have read a lot. So that you do for this exam also. So two things are there, right? Practice to karna hi padega. Else, if you have the background, try to use that also.
One thing I could clarify, if uh,
Please.
I think I might have got the message here wrong. Uh, the preparation is required. I could do with less preparation for RBI was because I had put efforts for UPSC. So efforts need to be put somewhere. So mine was putting somewhere else and paying somewhere else. But if you are preparing for RBI and even if for UPSC, efforts needs to be there. So if you are starting afresh, it's better to have a structured preparation and not haphazard ones. Like budget eco survey I missed. I also looked those up and read their summaries. So make a list of few things. Don't overburden yourself and make your strategy adaptable. Matlab, it should not be rigid so much that I'll read those only and these only. So it should be adaptable as you go along. You should not feel guilty even if you leave some source. कि ठीक है नहीं सही लग रहा है तो छोड़ दिया. So this I wanted to clarify.
Thank you. Wonderful points these were. Make a list of the sources, stick to the sources, do the preparation really well. And as he said, Mr. Kunal has told you that a strategy has to be like flexible. If required, change according to the paper. He mentioned earlier, I can recall, that even in sitting in the paper, you can change your strategy. If let's say you have prepared puzzles really well, someone, and there you feel that no, I'll not be able to do this puzzle, तो उसके पीछे नहीं लग जाना that नहीं, I have prepared puzzle, so I'll solve it. Be open-minded in the paper also. So wonderful points, Kunal, you have shared with us. I hope your experience and your learnings are going to help the candidates who are watching this video and are the future aspirants of RBI. So phase 1, phase 2, we have discussed a lot. Anything you'd like to share with us as for your preparation of interview?
I prepared for interview. This was my third interview in a row. So in my 2018 attempt, I got fairly good marks. In 2019, I missed out because of interview. And again, this year, I have scored very average marks. So my sources have widened over the years. Like I used to read newspaper for let's say 25, 20, 30 days before the interview. I was not a regular newspaper reader. And for the current affairs, any newspaper one can pick. Usually, Business Standard is the norm that candidates prefer. So even I picked it up like that. So that is one. Secondly, there was functions and working PDF. It is a wonderful document, I would say. it was for this attempt that I read for the first time. And I also read annual report because it summarizes everything for the past year, and you can then pick and choose topics that you want to elaborate further for your preparation. Other than that, ma'am, working on your profile is the norm for any interview, and it is the most basic thing which should be done. You should be thorough with your profile. And in my previous attempt, it was a profile based question which haunted me. And I took precisely for that reason, I took a mock interview with your platform as well and another mock as well. And I specifically discussed with the panel few questions that I had in mind, which I think did not let me make it to RBI last year. So those doubts I asked. So you should be comfortable with yourself in interview preparation, and it's uh, and one more thing, ma'am, if I can clarify, it's often said that it's not a knowledge game, but without knowledge, personality also does not come out. So this I wanted to clarify because I think it's very much a knowledge game, and you should try to have as much knowledge as you can. But obviously, interviews are very unpredictable, and especially in RBI, if I can say so, the marking has been very random, if I can put it mildly.
Yes.
So I would say that please detach yourself from results after mains and just give interview and do not think about results because don't know what they are doing these days with interview marks. So this is all I can say because relying, like I felt that my interview went fairly good, but I could not score. I scored 33. So this is not a good score as per my estimate. So I think interview should be taken in a very objective manner and detaching yourself completely from the results, which is not humanly possible, but needs to be tried as much as can.
So guys, this is like, I would say, ironic. The person sitting in front of me is giving a strategy, selected officer, and still telling you that मेरे interview marks अच्छे नहीं हैं. See, this is what learning is. That he understands that okay, I could have done there. He is not sure हुआ क्या, but still, this is what you have to adopt to. That keep on learning. And the idea which I got, Kunal, from your interview tips was that two, three things. That first, have good knowledge. Okay, you have to have knowledge whatever you have covered, like for your exam only, that is required. Second is work on your profile अच्छे से. You should be confident about your own self. You be comfortable with your own profile. Third is you should also be aware about the organization you are going to join. RBI के बारे में you have to know a lot. So like be ready with all these three things. You cannot say कि नहीं knowledge कम है या profile पे work नहीं किया. All these things have to be like really good if you are going to appear for the interview. है ना? So thank you so much, Kunal. That was a wonderful interactive session with you. I hope students will find this useful. And anything you'd like to say to the aspirants of this exam?
Ma'am, I would just reiterate what I said in the beginning because failures, I would not call it failure as well. And maybe I'm not the right person to say it as well because I was already working and fairly comfortably earning. So even if you fail, you have to give the next attempt. You can either choose to quit or give it again. So even if you quit, do it with content in your heart that I have quit. It's okay. Accept it. And if you're giving the exam, then you don't have an option other than working hard. So I would say not thinking and detaching yourself from the process is not entirely possible, but I think it serves a very good purpose that you don't think about the results and just work like a robot, I would say. So once in a while, it's okay to be indisciplined and waste time and not study and all. But overall objective is to clear the examination. And even if you quit taking the examination, one should always feel happy that I could when I wanted to and I continued if I wanted to. So this is my simple logic that I keep with myself, ma'am. I don't think complicatedly.
That was a lovely guidance, I think. Very, very useful points you have shared. I think this is again, as you said, even whatever you decide, giving exam or quitting, do it with your heart, right?
Yes, ma'am.
बहुत बहुत अच्छा था. Thank you so much, Kunal. We wish you all the very best from the entire team, faculty members, and our students for your career ahead. We know you'll be
Thank
doing
you.
really well, shining bright.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.